It was a cold night in the desert, the kind that makes a man hear his own heartbeat. Ethan Hawley sat beside a small fire, hands open to the heat, eyes on the wide black sky. He was a quiet man, a mechanic, a fixer of broken things. He had driven out of the city to think, to be alone, to let the silence smooth the rough edges inside him. The wind moved across the sand like a whisper. Coyotes called far away. He took a breath, slow and steady, and told himself he felt fine. He told himself nothing strange would happen here. He told himself the stars were just stars. Then the hum began. It came from nowhere, a low sound that slid under his ribs and pressed on his bones. He stood up, looking for a source, and the fire flickered like it was afraid. His truck's metal shell pinged as if struck by invisible rain. The hum grew into a vibration in the air, then into light cold silver light pouring down in a single pillar from the sky. Ethan took one step back, another. The pillar widened and washed over the fire. The flames flattened and went blue. The hum changed into a voice, not words but feeling. It sounded like need. It sounded like hurry. A figure dropped into the sand at the edge of the pillar. She was not human. Ethan saw that at once. Her skin held the light the way water holds moonlight. Her eyes were pale blue and deep at the same time. The air around her smelled sharp, like ozone after lightning. She stood with one hand lifted, palm facing him, like someone asking for peace. "Human," she said, and her voice was a small, careful shape. "I need you." He could not think of any answer. His mouth was dry. His hands were cold. The fire hissed as grains of sand drifted into it. "You need me?" he said. Double quotes, yes. She took one step forward. Her body moved with a soft, fluid grace. "Please, come now, it isn't safe." "This is my camp," he said, hearing how foolish that sounded against the wall of light falling from the stars. "They are near," she said. "If they arrive first, they will burn this place and everyone in it. I will not let that happen to you." He looked for a weapon. There was only his thermos, his folding chair, and the wrench he kept in his back pocket out of habit. He wrapped his fingers around the metal. The wrench felt small. She looked at his hand and then at his face. No anger, no threat, only urgency. "What's your name?" he asked. "Alara," she said. "Please." The hum became a pulse through the ground. The sky flashed as if a storm had opened and closed its eyes. Ilara's own eyes flicked upward. "Now," she said. Something in Ethan, a practical instinct, a fixer's instinct, answered. He stepped toward her. The light swallowed them. He fell without falling. He could not feel his weight or the sand. Cold air rushed past his ears. Then he slammed into a soft surface that held him like a net. A ceiling rushed over him, glass, silver lines, soft blue panels blinking in patterns that felt almost alive. He was inside a ship. Ethan rolled onto his side and saw Alara at a curved console. Her hands moved quickly. Every touch left a ribbon of light that curled and folded itself away. A view opened in the wall like a window. The desert was below them. The fire was a dim dot. The sky around the ship looked darker than before, full of angles that didn't belong to nature. "You kidnapped me," Ethan said, voice low and hard. "I saved you," Alara said without turning. "They would have killed you because you are human. Asterisk. Who is they?" "My people," she said. She swallowed like the words hurt. "Some of them." He stood, unsteady, using the edge of the console to keep balance. The window shifted, and the desert rolled out of view. Earth's curve appeared, blue and soft. Then the blue shrank, and the black widened, full of cold fire and distant suns. "What do you want with me?" he asked. Alara finally looked at him. Up close, he could see tiny lines of light moving under her skin, like veins. "I need your help," she said. "Your world has something mine lost long ago. I took a risk. I took you. I am sorry. I will make it right if I can." The ship shivered. A low alarm sang through the floor. Ilara turned back to the console and cut across a stream of symbols Ethan could not read. The alarm softened but did not stop. "They followed," she said. "Hold on." The ship tilted. Ethan's stomach tried to stay where it was. He braced. Starlight stretched in the window. Objects slid past like knives, dark thin, moving too fast to follow. The alarm jumped an octave. "What can I do?" he shouted. Ilara glanced at him, then at a simple lever to his left. "When I say now, pull that," she said. "Not before." He wrapped his hand around the lever. The metal was warm. The ship trembled again, harder. Ilara kept her shoulders square, her head tipped forward in a stubborn line. She breathed like she was counting each inhale. "Now," she said. He pulled. The tremble became a scream. Not sound, but pressure, a pulling at his bones. The stars smeared, the window went white, and for a second Ethan felt he was being turned inside out. Then it was over. Silence. Only the soft hum remained, a heartbeat under everything. Ilara exhaled. The lines of light under her skin brightened and dimmed, like a sigh. "We are safe for a moment," she said. "I am sorry to frighten you." Ethan leaned against the console. He wanted to be angry. He wanted to order her to take him home. He wanted to wake up at his fire with ash on his coat and laugh at himself. But the window showed a field of stars he had never seen, and the ship's air tasted like rain on iron, and the woman before him had eyes full of fear and duty at the same time. "Tell me," he said. "Why me?" Ilara touched a plate on the console. A second window opened, not to space but to a diagram, a simple spiral of dots, two colors intertwining. "Your blood," she said. "Humans make an enzyme under stress and pain, an enzyme you do not notice. We lost it generations ago. Without it, our immune system fails to adapt. We become weaker each cycle. Our children carry less strength than their parents. We fade, and you think I can fix that?" Asterisk, "I think you can help me build the key," she said. "Not just you, but you first. I studied your world for a long time. I needed someone stubborn. Someone who does not break when machines break. Someone who keeps trying until the broken thing works again." He almost laughed. It sounded like a line from a story, but she spoke with no drama. Only truth. Another alarm flickered, faint. Ilara frowned. "Short range," she said. "We must land. The hull needs repair." "You like fixing things, Ethan Hawley. Will you help me repair the ship that took you?" He looked at the window. The Gia Starfield rolled aside to reveal a pale planet with a copper ring. The ship sank toward it like a stone into deep water. "I'll help," he said. "Then we talk." The ship came down hard but whole. The landing plane stretched out under a thin red sky. Distant cliffs held lines like old scars. When the ramp opened, the air outside was sharp and metallic, but breathable. The ground had a skin of dust that held their footprints like memory. Ilara led him to a side panel. Light bled from a hairline crack across the surface. She handed him a set of tools that were not tools as he knew them. Soft, flexible things that changed shape in his hand. He found he could guide them with small thoughts, with intention more than force. "Conduction pathway is split," Ethan said, surprised at the calm in his voice. "Signals jumping and overheating the frame." Ilara's lips curved, not quite a smile. "Yes, your people don't want humans around," he said as he worked. "Why?" "Because they fear what they do not understand," she said. "Because they once tried to conquer and failed. Because power loves to blame someone else." She paused. "Because long ago one of us hurt one of you, and your kind answered with fire, and our leaders were ashamed, and shame turned into hate." Ethan pressed the last seam into place. The crack sealed with a slow blue glow. The panel hummed, steady and strong. He exhaled and wiped his hands on his jeans out of habit, though the alien tools left no grease. Ilara looked toward the sky. "We must go inside," she said. "They will come again. They always do." Inside. She brought him to a small bay. It looked like a clean clinic built by someone who liked the ocean. Soft curves, light like water. A narrow platform rose from the floor. "I need a sample," Alara said. "Just a small one." "Blood?" "Yes, I will not harm you." He sat on the platform. A ring of light circled his arm, gentle and cool. A clear vial filled with dark red. Alara held it like a candle in a church, careful and respectful. She ran the sample through a thin column full of tiny prisms. The window above the column bloomed with patterns. Her eyes widened. "It's there," she whispered. "The enzyme is awake, even in rest. Your body made more during the landing. It is beautiful." He felt a twinge of pride that made no sense. He covered it with a shrug. "What now?" "Now I try to teach my system how to sing with yours," she said. She tapped a sequence with fast, sure fingers. The patterns shifted, became waves, then threads weaving. "If this works, I can print a patch. If the patch holds, we can save thousands. If we can save thousands, we can ask your world for help, not forgiveness." "Help!" The ship's hum deepened. A narrow strip of blue light slid along the floor and stopped at the door. Alara stiffened. "They are here," she said. The door opened without a sound. 3 figures stood in the corridor, tall and thin, their armor the color of raw night. Their eyes shone silver like Alara's, but colder. The one in front lifted a hand. "Alara of Terales," he said. "Step away from the human." She stepped in front of Ethan. "No. You steal from the quarantine world and break the exile law," the leader said. "You compromise the fleet. Your vessel will be archived. The human will be erased." Ethan's grip tightened on the edge of the platform. Erased. He did not like that word. "You are sick," Alara said, her voice steady now. "You are all sick. I am trying to cure us. He is the key. The Council for Bad Human Contact." "The Council is dying," she said. The leader pointed a narrow device. Alara raised her empty hands. "Don't," she said softly. "Look at the data first." "We are not curious today," he said. Ethan moved without thinking. He grabbed the set of flexible tools, the ones that listened to intent. He imagined a shield. The tools stiffened and arced into a translucent curve between the weapon and Alara. The first shot hit the curve and scattered into fine sparks that stunned his skin but did not burn. The leader's head tilted. "Human tricks," he said. "How quaint." Alara slammed her palm on the wall. Metal rose from the floor like a low wave and locked across the doorway, trapping the other 2 outside. The leader slipped through before it sealed, fast as a shadow. He aimed again. "Down," Ethan yelled. Alara dropped. Ethan lunged forward with the shield, pushing the leader off balance. A second shot burned the ceiling. The air smelled like a storm broke indoors. Alara rolled to the column and slapped a bright plate. The patterns in the window snapped into a tight spiral. A small cartridge clicked out of the printer like a seed. "I have it," she said, voice shaking. "The patch is printed." The leader fired again. The shield cracked. Pain jolted up Ethan's arm, but he held. He had held heavy engines in place under worse conditions than his boss thought possible. He had wedged his shoulder into machines that could crush him and kept them steady while a friend turned a bolt. He understood pressure in stubborn moments. He knew how not to break. Alara slid across the floor and pressed the cartridge to the leader's exposed wrist. He jerked back, but it was too late. A low tone vibrated through the room as the patch bonded. He stumbled. His gun hand sagged. The lines of light under his skin flickered, then steadied. He stared at Alara like he was truly seeing her for the first time. He looked at Ethan. He lowered the weapon. "What did you do?" he asked. "I gave you a chance to live," Alara said. "If you let us continue, I will give it to everyone." He touched his wrist. His breath slowed. His eyes softened. Behind the sealed door, the two soldiers pounded, then stopped, uncertain. The leader turned the weapon around and placed it gently on the floor. "Show me," he said. What followed did not feel like a battle. It felt like work. Hard work, careful work, the kind Ethan respected. Alara explained the patch in simple terms, while Ethan calibrated the ship's printer to make more. The leader, his name was Kale, opened the door and spoke to his team in a tight, low voice. Their guns lowered. They stepped in, cautious but no longer cruel. Ethan helped Alara run the second sample. He held tools where she asked. He cut thin lines of light and rejoined them like solder, sometimes clumsy, sometimes graceful, always learning. The room filled with a steady rhythm. Print, test, patch, record. A sheet of clear material bloomed with small seeds, each a possible life. Hours passed, or maybe a lifetime. When the last patch bonded into a test frame and the system rang a smooth, perfect tone, Alara leaned her head against the console and cried without sound. Ethan did not touch her. He stood close enough for her to feel someone was there. Kale spoke quietly into a small device. "We will not erase the human," he said. "We will escort you to the council station. They will see." "They will argue," Alara said, drying her face. "They always do," Kale said. He flexed his wrist. "But I am not dying today. I will argue longer." Ethan looked at the window. The copper-ringed planet waited outside. He thought of his truck, his fire, his quiet life that had been, until now, mostly the same from one day to the next. He thought of how his hands knew the weight of wrenches and the stubborn song of a bolt that did not want to move. He thought of the word erased and felt a deep, simple anger at it. "What happens to me?" he asked. Alara met his eyes. "I took you," she said. "I will take you home when it is safe. Or, if you choose, you can come to the station and speak for your kind. Not as a trophy, as a partner." Ethan looked at Kale, who nodded once, almost a bow. He looked back at Alara, who had asked for help and then given it to her enemy first. He thought about the desert and the pillar of light and the fact that the universe had pressed a need into his hands and he had not dropped it. "Take me to the station," he said. "I'll help you fix what's broken." Ilara's smile was small and bright. "Thank you, Ethan Hawley." They lifted from the copper world and rose through the thin clouds. The stars widened again, not cold now but possible. The ship turned toward a cluster of lights far off, a city in the dark. A promise. Ethan stood by the window and watched the distance shorten. He was still a mechanic, still a fixer. Only now the machine was bigger than any engine he had ever seen. It was a people. It was two peoples. It was a future that might work if someone kept his hands steady. Alara came to stand beside him. She did not touch him. She did not have to. The ship's hum evened into a calm heartbeat. Her voice was soft, but it filled the room. "I needed you," she said. He nodded. "Good," he said. "Because I'm here." The stars flowed around them like roads, and the ship carried them on. As they approached the station, the first message arrived, a cautious request for identification and purpose. Alara replied with data, with proof, with a sample of the song she'd taught her system to sing. The reply took longer than it should have. When it came, it was a single word, clear and plain. "Proceed." Ethan breathed out a laugh he had not known he was holding. Kale smiled in his stern, quiet way. The ship slid into the bright ring of the station. Lights traced their path like welcome lines. The world that had started with a whispering wind and a small fire ended here for now, with doors opening to a hall full of waiting eyes. Ethan did not know what speeches would come, what arguments, what doubt. He only knew the work ahead. Patches to print, systems to teach, bridges to build. He rolled his shoulders, felt the tired joy of a day well used, and stepped forward with Alara. Out there somewhere, his truck sat alone in the cooling sand. The fire had burned down to a red core and gone dark. But the stars that had watched him then were watching still. And now, for the first time in his life, he felt them watching with hope.